Hello Vapors, this is 100% VG coming to you today with a video review of this Sigelei 150 watt box mod from Heaven Gifts. I have been chomping at the bit to open this thing up. Had to wait on a couple things, but here I go. Opening it for you on cam. Trying to get that on cam. All right. I already read the manual online. It is available online if you want to look it up. Comes with a nice well, there goes the manual sleeve that most people find they don't use, and I probably won't either. And that's the reason. It's a bit tough to get in and out to get to your battery doors. Very snug fit. Okay, there's that. Excuse me, let me get the manual. Okay. Here's the manual. And I'm sure it's exactly the same as what I read online. This has been covered numerous times in other videos, so I'm not going to spend any time on it. It's in English and Chinese. And here is the star of the day. Let me see if there's a cover on that. The Sigelei 150 watt box mod. That's one side. There's the front. Let me get the glare off with the vape button, up and down button, and the display. The other side, the back simply says Sigelei. The bottom has a lot of venting. Let me see if I can get the light on that so you can see vent holes all the way across the bottom. And the top has the 510. And I do believe that's a stainless steel 510. It looks like a copper center post that is most likely spring loaded. 1 second. Get something to go in there. I'm sorry. Yes, it is. It is. My camera, it's only a laptop camera, and getting those kind of angles are tough. Other people have shown that. It is a spring-loaded connection. It's stiff, which I think is a good thing, but it is spring-loaded. So I'm going to load up my batteries. There is an indent there that you can stick a fingernail in and lift the door. If I can get my fingernail in it, lift the door. It is connected with magnets, and those magnets are tight. This thing is not going to fly off. Put that over here. The batteries are very clearly marked, positive and minus, up one side, down the other. So this is a series box mod. Nice ribbon inside to make it easy to get your batteries in and out. I have to do this a little bit on cam, a little bit off cam. Put one in. Let's see how we do this. Looks like they're spring loaded from the top. Yes, they are. So I will go positive in first. Sorry guys, first time doing this. Okay. Positive in first. Negative in first, the other way. I'm using Emerald green. They are what's the milliamp hours on these things? 2600 milliamp hour, supposedly 38 amp. I know they're not true 38 amp hour batteries, but that's what I'm using. They are certainly 20 milliamp hour batteries. Gonna fold the ribbon over, tuck my other battery positive down so that the ribbon is underneath. Some of this has to be off cam, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. The ribbon is underneath. See? And you fold that down. And now the ribbon is actually under both batteries. I'm going to slide this over a little bit to get to tuck the ribbon in. Push it up into place and click. I'm sure you heard that. And again, those are very strong magnets. Okay. I'm going to go 5 clicks to turn it on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there is our lovely Sigelei logo. I have no atomizer attached yet. So when I push the button, of course it says check atomizer. I've got some bad glare. Sorry, guys. Check out. Anyway, that's what it says. So, what I'm going to be doing today is testing with two atomizers for various wattage tests. Number one is a Fava tank by Yokan. The 0.5 ohm head in this tank is supposed to go from 20 watts up to 150 watts. The Sigelei will most likely only run it up to 112.5 because it has, I'm quite certain it has a 7.5 volt max output. But when I click the switch now and see if I can get it where you can read the screen without a glare. Alright, don't know if you can read that, but it says it's set to 10 watts, 2.2 volts, battery is 100%, and 0.5 ohm, reading the coil precise as to what Yokan says it is. So I'm going to crank this up to there it goes. Now it's scrolling. I'm going to set it to 30 to begin with. 30 watts. First time using this takes me a minute to get used to how fast the buttons scroll and things like that. Okay, that says it's going to be 3.9 volts at 0.5 ohms for 30 watts. Okay, this is 100% VG, thinned a little bit, and it's got a minute amount of my standard cinnamon red hots in it just for a little bit of flavor. I don't know if you can tell, it's not absolutely clear. There is a small amount of cinnamon red hots in it. Other than that, it's like 90% VG USP. A little bit of water and a little bit of flavoring. Just so it's not, you know, if you've ever done plain VG USP, it's kind of boring. Wow. Very much what you'd expect. And the cinnamon red hots is coming through. Now I'll admit this head was used before with cinnamon red hots, and it is the flavor is going away. But I'm getting more of the just plain VG, but it's the tank and the head is working very well. Excuse me. Swallowed goofy. It was not the vapor. Okay, going to crank it up to 40. Wow. Zips fast. When it gets above the the manual said it gets above a certain level and it starts adjusting at 1 watt instead of 0.1 watt. Okay, we're at 40, and I could show you that, but you probably wouldn't be able to read it on my screen anyway. My air conditioner just kicked on, but it doesn't seem to be really blowing, messing up what I'm trying to show you. And the Fava tank is keeping up very well. Mod is working perfectly. Going up to 50 watts now. Okay. Again, I would show you, but my resolution is not good enough for you to really be able to read it. Getting hot. And that is because this is not thinned as much as my VG in my all-day vape. When my all-day vape is 15% cinnamon red hots, TFA, the flavor apprentice, cinnamon red hots, and 15%, in ethyl alcohol, mixed at 15%, and that ethyl alcohol thins quite a bit. So apparently I don't have this thinned enough for the head to keep up. So I'm going to move on. That's not the tank's fault. That's my fault for not mixing properly. So what I have to test the Sigelei 150 watt above, all the way up to 150 watts is I'm going to use my ECF Pro 26650 Tobe. I built a special setup in this. I built a quad coil. I did the math and I calculated for the Sigelei 150 watt at its 7.5 volts what would be the highest ohm coil that would allow it to give 150 watts, and that is 0.375 ohms. So I made a quad coil with 4 1.5 ohm coils. Get that where you can see them. Trying to zoom in. Turn it. Okay, so you can see that it is a quad coil, not wicked yet. And I have them with decent spacing in between. And I have them mounted so that the bottom coil if you can see, the bottom coil is actually a little bit above the air holes in the not sure what you call this, but it's actually a little bit above the air holes, because when you use an RDA, the air comes in from the side, but it doesn't actually hit the coil. You're drawing the air from up here, so it comes up like this. And I wanted the air to be able to at least hit, if not go under, that first coil with RBAs like the Derringer and some of the others that get the air from underneath. With that in mind, to increase the flavor. But also the fact that the second coil is up there, I think it will be well within the airflow range of you can see the it's going to be hard to tell, but the top coil is even further above that, and I think it's going to be well in the airflow range of the air between the air holes, vent holes, airflow holes, and the drip tip at the top. So I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to wick the coil and be back shortly. And I'm back. Here I am with my first monster build. Quad coil setup, all wicked up. I did my best to maintain and try to show you the airflow between both coils. You can see daylight through there. You can see daylight through there. I packed the bottom coil. The length of the cotton is the blue box Japanese organic cotton. It is shorter, and it just wraps down and touches the deck, and both ends touch each other. The top is quite a bit longer, and it wraps around, goes above the wicking of the bottom coil, and goes kind of to the side and touches the deck deeply, and the other end of the coil tucks in between the plus and minus post for both of them. So that's my first attempt at a monster build. Alright, I'm going to put it on the Sigelei 150. Unscrewing it off of the Cronus. Let me get the Fava tank off of here. Okay. I'm going to put the airflow adjustment ring, I'll call it, on first so I can see where the airflow is against the bottom blocker thingy. Screw that down tight. It messed with my adjustment with my airflow, so I'll get that set back. Okay. Put the top cap back on, and let's see how close I got to 0.375 ohms. I built this because this was still in the box, and I wanted to open the box for you on cam. I built each of these coils on another device, and the ohms reading between devices is different. Let's see how close I got. This says 0.3 ohms, but it only reads tenths. It does not display hundredths or thousandths. So I could be right on 0.375 on another mod. I won't say which one. It read at 0.36. So we are. I'm going to crank it back down. And actually, the first thing to do is trip on it. I mean, it's juiced up from getting the wicks. And this is actually diluted more than what was in the Fava tank. Let me get this nice and filled and saturated. But not flooding. The way I built this, there's even though there's tons of cotton in here, there's still deck room for blank deck room without cotton to be able to hold extra juice for the cotton to suck up. Okay, now I'm not anticipating much from this because 30 watts divided by 4 coils isn't much. So, but here we go. And I was right. Getting a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and crank it up to 50. Okay. Do that in my head. 25, so that'll be, screw it, half of 25 watts per coil. What's that, 12.5 watts per coil? And I would expect that to be decent, and I'm getting some nice flavor too. Okay. Very nice amount of vapor. 50 watts. Go ahead and jump to 60. Okay. $15 watts per coil. And even though it's 60 watts, 15 watts per coil, it's not hot. It's starting to get there, but it's not hot. It's not kill you hot. Tons of vapor because of 4 coils. And nice flavor, very nice flavor, even though there's hardly any cinnamon red hots in here. This was, again, like 90% USP VG, unflavored. I was not scientific about it, but a percentage of distilled water and 4 droppers of, I'm sorry, not 4, 3 droppers, eyedroppers of my regular all-day cinnamon red hots in a 15 ml eyedropper bottle. So that's what I got in here. The flavor is pleasant because it's a small amount of cinnamon red hots, but I'm gonna attempt to crank this all the way up to 150 watts, and I anticipated that would be intense. So that's 60 watts. Let's take it up to 80. Come on, puppy. All right, here's 80. Tons of flavor. Drip tip getting warm a little bit, but not hot, not burning my mouth, not that kind of hot. $80 here is 20 watts per coil. So, that's why I did a quad coil setup. So, it wouldn't kill me. but it is a lot of vapor. Okay, let's see what's going to happen at 100. I'm probably going to have to start taking, that was 4-second puffs. I'm probably going to start taking shorter puffs. But because there's hardly any nicotine in here, I shouldn't have to worry about nicotine buzz or anything like that. And this being a 2650 RDA, it is a little big on here. Let me see if I can get that with myself out of the way. You know, it does hang over, but that's not the purpose of the video. The purpose of this test is to be able to run the Sigelei at up to its potential 150 watts. Let me check my juice. I'll go ahead and add some. It's not dry by any means, but no point burning my cotton either. Okay. And with the coils wetter, this may actually help cool it down a little bit. We'll see. It did, because that 80 watts was starting to get hot. Still 4-second puffs, 100 watts. Wow. So the coils need to be kept very wet. So I will add more. Wish I could do this on cam, but I can't. Make sure it's getting that bottom one wet too. Looks like it is. Give it a second to soak in, because we're about to start getting intense. No leaking. Did over drip a little bit, showing up in air holes. Okay, so I won't tilt it on the side. Going to 120 watts. Sigelei performing flawlessly. This says 6.8 volts. Still reading 0.3 ohms, but we have no hundredths or thousandths, so got no idea what the Sigelei is actually reading it as. It almost makes me want to cough. It's getting a little hot, so I'm going to start doing shorter hits. Two-second puff, and still, you know, just way more vapor than anybody needs, if you ask me. Alright. I'm going to add a little more and crank it up. Call me a fool, but I'm doing this for the Sigelei and viewers who would actually do this, not for me. And there are sub-ohm tanks coming out now, like the Smoke has one, RTF4 I think it's called, that comes with heads that will vape up to 140 watts. So yeah, you want something like this for that. You want to go up to 140 watts, and there's quite a few other ways you can do it. Okay, gonna crank up to, I'm gonna go to 135. Sigelei says that'll be 7.2 volts, so we're not going to be able to go much above that. Got some gurgling, so I overfilled. Still gurgling a little bit. 7.2 volts, and from what I have read, I think this Sigelei 150 watt only goes up to 7.5 volts. We'll see what it goes up to. So there's 135. I'll take it to 140. Wish I had a seatbelt. $140, a little intense for me. Still not really hot, but it's gurgling a little bit still, and that may be what's doing it. Give myself a second, plus give the juice a second to get the coils nice and wet again. There's still plenty in there. I'm just giving it a chance to re-wick the coils because everything's pretty hot right now. Yeah, it's fairly warm. I mean, it's not burning hot, but it's fairly warm. Okay, 140 again. Getting a little bit of juice spit back, which I think would be expected from this kind of wattage. Crank it up to 145. And give it a second for the juice to re-wick the coil again. Bear with me 1 second. Mine's getting a little warm too. But it does have safety, all kind of built-in safety protection. It's got an over-temp feature on the board that if the board itself gets too hot, it's not a temperature device. This one is not. There is a 150 watt temp control. This one is not. But the temp protection on this one is overheat protection on the circuit board itself. Yeah, you give it a minute to wick those coils, and even 145 watts I'm able to do without coughing. So I'm gonna wick it up again, juice it up again to prepare it for $150 watts. Let that sit a minute, because I have a suspicion that the bottom two coils, are the ones that are getting dry. But then again, it could also be the top coils that are hitting me a little bit, because they may not be as much in the airflow path. And I'm not drawing really hard either. More airflow would help cool it. So let me try that. crank it up to 150 watts. No, we're not going to get 150 watts because let's see. Where does it say going down at 145? It's already saying 7.5 volts. So 145 watts is the most I'm going to get with this build. I would have to make another build to actually get above 145 watts. So even though I can crank it up to 100, it'll say it's set at 150. It's not going to give me 150. I don't know, maybe it did. But massive vapor, and for the small amount of cinnamon red hots that I have in here, my all day vape that is mixed 6.5 milligrams, 15%. The flavor print is cinnamon red hots, just a very small amount in this. I would say probably 5% in this 15 mil, if even 5%. I'm getting, which I expected, very nice flavor at 145 watts. You know, I anticipated that, and that's why I mix it down so much. And whatever little bit of nicotine is in that juice, getting a little bit of kick from that too at this high wattage, because you know that high wattage is going to give you the flavor, and it's going to kick the nicotine in. I can see a little bit of juice on the sides. It's not licking, but I did over drip. A little bit of gurgling. And that may be why the first one made me cough a little bit. $150. Didn't give it enough time to soak in there. That one made me a little bit on the exhale. Would I do this all day, every day? No. But again, I'm doing it for you guys to show you that the Sigelei 150 watt can actually do it. Had I built my setup a little bit lower, it would have cranked all the way up to 150 watts. Apparently, my build is whatever it's actually coming in at needs to be a bit lower. The specs on the Sigelei say 100 and say 0.1 ohm up to whatever. I don't know if 0.1 ohms. If I haven't seen the actual voltage range listed anywhere, but I can tell you right now, it's a 7.5 volt max, and I don't know what the amp cutoff is. I would be interested to know that, because then I could reverse calculate the proper coil to build to actually get 150 watts, and I could tell you if 0.1 ohms would actually reach 150 watts, or would you hit an amp limit. But that would require a bit of you know, making different coils, and I'm just not going to do that. This review is actually more about just showing you some of the capabilities of the Sigelei 150 watt, and a praise for Heaven Gifts, because this was a contest win, and they got it to me from China in like 4 days. Can you imagine? 4 days from China. I have one coming from another China vendor, and it's got to be on a slow boat. It's already been 30 days, hadn't got it yet. So, hats off to Having Gifts. You guys really take care of your people, and I have to say, if you will do that for contest winners, people just imagine what they do for people, for paying customers, you know. It seems to me that Having Gifts is a winner all the way around. They have an excellent selection of products, great prices. If you have not purchased for them, check them out. This video, I will have some annotations in here to correct some things that I have misspoken, and to also say that the specs and things that are listed in the manual will be shown in pictures in the forums and sites that I post this video to, excuse me, online. So those kind of things will also be covered in detail at the places that I post them, and a lot of it will be in the description if you care to look at that. So I'm going to call it a wrap, and this is 100% VG with the Sigelei 150 watt. Thanking Having Gifts again, and Vera, Slant, Evan, for this fantastic gift, this fantastic contest win. And I will say, again, if you haven't checked them out, you need to check out Having Gifts. The link for them and the Sigelei 150 watt will be in the description. 100% VG, telling you, vape smart, be happy, and by all means, please join CASA and fight for your right to vape. Have a great day. Bye-bye.